Greetings retro gamers and welcome to Retro Game On. Today we're hopping on our bike, shit that was cliched, and reviewing Paperboy on the Genesis and Mega Super Duper Whoop-De-Doo drive. Paperboy can be played on just about anything with a processor and a screen. This particular version was released in 1991 by Tengen and the letter P. Let's get delivering. I'll be honest, I don't read newspapers. They're huge, making them clumsy to use and quite wasteful. And depending on where you're based, there's a chance there could be opinionated garbage. Much like my reviews actually. Plus, they usually cost a couple of dollars which could potentially be spent on PS1 op-shop purchases. I get all my news from the BBC World News app, and that doesn't require no stinking Paperboy to fly through my window at 5 AM. Really, this game represents an era that's quickly approaching its grave, but fortunately that doesn't stop it from being a fun and playable arcade title. The premise has you playing as a paperboy as you ride down a street on your fixie delivering newspapers. The subscribers are obviously awesome as their houses are colourful and inviting, while the non-subscribers are represented with darker colours along with cobwebs, gravestones, and even the grim man himself later on. Correctly throwing the newspapers onto the doorstop or even into the letterbox of the subscribers earns you mad points, but the real fun lies in throwing the newspapers through the windows of the non-subscribing scum, which will also score you points. Having said that though, if you miss a subscriber altogether or accidentally damage their house with a surprisingly resilient stack of paper, they'll pull their subscription, damning themselves to a life of monochrome. It's not as easy as simply aiming the newspapers from a moving bike however, as there are plenty of obstacles in your path. This is where the game gets its charm, as everything in your way is frankly ridiculous. There's just too much to list. Look at what probably inspired the movie Rubber, for a good example. Playing this game requires a lot of situational awareness. You can choose to go faster than the normal pace, but it's not a huge issue as the levels aren't really timed. Having said that though, you can't just slowly and deliberately make your way through a level getting perfect hits every time, as you just can't stop the bike. Even though the lowest of speeds is quite slow, there are just so many enemies moving around rapidly that you really need to keep on your toes at all times. The Isometric Perspective, which makes this game somewhat iconic, also makes it inherently flawed. It's a good perspective for RTS and sim releases, but not so much for arcade games. It can make steering the Paperboy himself a bit of a struggle sometimes, as it's weird to do it accurately from a 45-degree angled view, but then again it does add another layer of difficulty. Having said that though, the controls in this version did feel a bit loose, and the collision detection isn't particularly stellar either, so I don't know. I really do like this game, but it can be frustrating and unfair feeling sometimes. The Overbearing Objective is to make it through a week without a game over, and you're given a handful of lives to make it from Monday to Sunday, with extra lives rewarded for hardcore bicycling. The levels get harder each day, with basically more foes spawning. There is also an intersection that must be crossed without turning into pavement pizza, and that gets busier with each consecutive day. Over all that, there are 3 different modes that can be chosen based on difficulty, meaning hours of playtime can be spent in Paperboy as you hone your skills and get better. After you finish each level, you're rewarded with a training course where you receive unlimited newspapers to basically spam at targets to receive additional points. This is where the dodgy collision detection and controls really shine, but if you die within, then no lives are lost. This game still looks great. The amount of crazy shit going on really does make me laugh, and while the isometric view can screw with a few things, is what gives Paperboy its trademark look. It's easy to pick up and play thanks to a heavy representation of colour. Simply, colourful is good while dark is bad is so simple it hurts, but it works really well. There is also quite a lot of dialogue in this game, namely when the player dies. It's a bit quiet, but clear nonetheless, and most importantly, hilarious. This game might have been more forgettable thanks to the problems raised if it wasn't so damn funny. Paperboy is saved by its charm. Having said that though, this game was still really fun to play, and it's quite addictive like an arcade title should be. I would recommend this game, and since it's on so many platforms, it's quite accessible. Plus, being able to make things explode with a newspaper will always score brownie points with me. Hey viewers, and thanks for watching. The question of the day today is, what's your favourite arcade game of all time? It doesn't have to be an actual arcade cabinet game either, just in the genre. My personal favourite is Missile Command on the 2600, I could play that for hours. Anyway, there's heaps of cool shit to look at on this screen if you're interested, but nonetheless, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.